Donald Trump takes on Venezuela. ICE Minnesota crackdown. And blue state fraud has some probes. And we're going to be covering all of that and more here on today's Bald Brad Show. Forgive my voice. It almost seems like it's going out. We didn't know if we were going to have a show today. I'll be honest. We were drinking tea. You can hear it. We were drinking tea. We were doing a lot of stuff this morning to see if we had the voice for the show. It's your moneymaker. It's not my face. It's my voice. So bear with me, folks, as we try to keep the voice for the next 40 minutes or so. We got to do a little bit of a shorter show because, we don't know if we're going to make it through. So we'll see what happens. Forgive me, I'm still a little under the weather, but we're here, and that's what's important. Yeah, we're a little late because I'm just slamming honey, tea, whatever's going to work so that we're able to do the show so that your boy can give you the news. Well, Trump has officially given his warning, and his warning went to Iran. And, well, frankly, kind of went to a bunch of places, right? The world is watching Iran right now. And so is the Trump administration. Just days after special forces captured the Venezuelan dictator, Nicolas Maduro, which is hilarious. And I'm sure you guys seen these videos of all these people going out and protesting that Donald Trump nabbed a dictator that has deleted people and committed pretty bad crimes. All the while, a few months ago, they were out there protesting during the No Kings protest. So he nabs a dictator. He's a bad guy. But at the same time, they don't want any kings. Because in their mind, Donald Trump's a dictator too. It is bonkers. It's just realizing, some people realize this later than others, that some people are just knuckleheads. And some people's IQ is very, very, very low. And they're not able to comprehend things. And it's always been that way. It's just more prevalent now because you have media. You got the left going out there protesting and you're hearing what they're saying. Whereas when we all grew up, there was media, but not in the capacity of us to be able to obtain information like this and see all the knuckleheads. We thought usually everybody was normies growing up. It's never been that way. Well, again, Donald Trump, as we talked about yesterday, utilized the State Department to post a series of direct warnings to the Iranian regime. And he did it in Farsi, which is still hilarious to me. As Tehran continues violently cracking down on protesters and testing missile defenses. This wasn't subtle. It wasn't even really nice. I mean, it's geopolitical, and it wasn't diplomatic either. It's just putting pressure, more of a psychological pressure on the Iranians. So the message wasn't for Twitter. It wasn't. So you had that taking place, which kind of sparked a bunch of stuff with the Iranians, and it sparked a bunch of stuff with the Venezuelans. Okay, so now that everybody's in here, let's jump into the news. Again, forgive me and my voice. We started late because you could hear it going out. And we're here. I appreciate that. I probably shouldn't have done a show today, to be fair. Because as you know, I talk all day. But we're here. Okay, we're not stopping now. We already started. You don't stop when you start something. You got to finish. That's what she said. All righty. So that was what was going on with Iran. Now, other places' heads are turning towards Venezuela as well, where Trump's plan for Venezuela comes really, really in the focus here. So again, as the trial faces for Nicolas Maduro here in the United States, Trump's vision for Venezuela is slowly becoming more and more clear. So this is more of an update than anything. And it's not a long-term military operation that some people keep suspecting, at least not as of right now. And you'll remember that immediately after Maduro's capture, Trump did raise eyebrows. And those eyebrows were raised by saying that the U.S. is planning to run the country and that he's going to do it. And he's pretty involved here. The language sparked predictable media hysteria about kind of what we all worry, and so do I, truthfully, this nation building idea and kind of another Iraq. It is different in the sense of we don't have tons of boots on the ground. We didn't do an invasion, but it might turn into that. What's actually taking shape is more deliberate and kind of, I guess, more transactional. And the reason why I'm saying that is, according to the administration, the White House is pursuing control through leverage and not boots on the ground. Just yesterday, Trump announced that Venezuela's interim authorities will transfer between, hear this, 30 to 50 million barrels. That's pretty remarkable. And this is of sanctioned oil, and it's going directly to the United States. That move alone represents billions of dollars in leverage, and it also sends a clear message to Venezuelan oil wealth that it's no longer off limits to American interests. And that's why you were seeing, if you're looking at like Chevron, ExxonMobil, all these companies, they rallied a little bit yesterday, and they're all excited. They're going in there. I mean, talk about salivating at the mouth, knowing that proven oil reserves, the greatest on the globe, that now you just have full federal access to. Is I don't think the oil companies could run there quick enough. Doesn't my voice kind of sound like for radio? This is not, there's no modification on the mic. We just got our voice. All right. That's all it is. So I apologize. That sounds a little weird. People are listening to audio. It doesn't sound like Brad. Well, you also have three pillars of Venezuela's strategy that's taking place. The White House has outlined three core priorities moving forward. The first one is they're going to crush the drug cartel. The second one is they're going to break Caracas alliances with American adversaries. And then the third is restructuring Venezuela's oil market, which is huge because, again, the big picture here is, it's about oil. It's about a lot of things, truthfully, but it's also about kind of choking out Russia, Cuba, Iran. China's the big one, because if you could choke out China, they're not going to be able to go into Taiwan. You're going to hurt their economy in the same way that you're hurting Iran's economy. Nobody's going to want to do business with them. So they're going to have to fold. That's going to hurt their AI dominance, because AI dominance has run off energy. I mean, there's a lot that goes into this. Now, to be fair, there's not a ton of oil from Venezuela going into China. I was trying to find a pretty realistic answer. Maybe some people can go Google right now and just clarify for me if you can. I was seeing somewhere between like 4 to 7% of all Chinese oil is from Venezuela. That is a good chunk, don't get me wrong. I would say if it spilled over 10%, now we're looking at something pretty reasonable. But 4 to 7 is really not that much, but take that one with a grain of salt. I didn't have time to actually verify and go through and really make sure that it was only those numbers. But something's better than nothing. Now, moving into some other news, that was kind of the updates I wanted to give you on the whole Venezuela thing. There was also talk by Trump yesterday that he's the one that's going to be controlling the money, which I thought was interesting. But he didn't necessarily, he did say himself, but he also said it was the, I'd have to look up the tweet again. It was basically like the executive branch is the one that's going to control the money to make sure that it gets back into the hands of the Venezuelans. Sure. I don't know the legality of that. I don't know how all that works. Quite frankly, not a lot of people do. Well, you have ICE raids in Minnesota. Here we go. Minnesota, man. It's just more fraud coming out. More stuff going. It's like every day there's a new story about some independent journalist uncovering insane fraud. This is obviously ICE raids, but if you're not staying up to date with what's going on in Minnesota, I'll try to help you. But even I can't keep up because there's so many independent journalists that flew in there that do like YouTube channels that are just unraveling. Insane. And I'm not even talking about Nick Shirley. I'm talking about new, fresh people. I've said that. I don't know if it's to you guys. I said it to somebody recently. I think if you take all the states in the union, I think we're looking at $1 trillion to $2 trillion of fraud. People think that sounds crazy. It doesn't. It's really not crazy. $1 trillion is just 1,000 billion. And I love how I just say, oh, it's just 1,000 billion. I mean, that's an astronomical number that's really hard to even fathom. But if you look at it, you're talking California has hundreds of billions of dollars of fraud. Oh boy, it runs deep here. How do I know that? The high-speed rail alone, you guys, just one project, 128 billion, really? They haven't built any rail. There's a cement, like, I don't know what you would call it, cement bridge? Cement thingy? There's no rail. There's not even a car. It hasn't gone anywhere. And it's gone from like 13 billion, now it's 128 billion. Look at all the billions that have been thrown into homelessness. I'm just talking about I'm talking about Los Angeles. I'm not even talking about anywhere else. The billions, tens of billions we've poured into homelessness. I do think it's upwards of $1 trillion easy. I mean, imagine what we could do with $1 trillion here. Imagine. Well, let's go Democrat. Let's be part of the Democrat Party here. Because we all know conservatives, right? We want conservative money. We want to put that back in our pockets so that we can invest that money into the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, whatever. We give back to our churches. Like, we all know our side here. We're trying to reach out to the Democrats really quick. Hey, buddy, Democrats. Think what you could do with infrastructure of $1 trillion was actually spent appropriately and not fraud. You could clean your streets. You get rid of all those potholes everywhere. Yeah, I know. You could even, I hate this, I don't like this necessarily as a conservative. You could subsidize things in a non-fraudulent way. And think of all the good you could do. You know, just we're kind of chumming the waters here for them. You know what I mean? We're playing nice today. Yeah, you give people money. You could redistribute wealth. There's no fraud. You want to be on our side, Democrats. Yeah, you want to be on our side. You want to be on the side of the independents here, the conservatives or Republicans, because guess what? It's not going where you think it's going. And you can actually implement the crazy ideas that you want when the fraud's not there. I know. Crazy. They had an epiphany. Some of them had an epiphany. Like, wait a minute, the guy's right. The guy's right. They're actually going against my agenda too, because I want that money to go into the hands of these other people. Now, don't get me wrong. Some Democrats want the Somalis to have it illegally and all this other stuff. We know that because they're out there protesting, but it's not that many. It's not that many people out there protesting, you guys. Okay. When you see CNN, MSN, DNC, I guess it's MSN now, going out there, and you see 12 guys on the street that are paid protesters out of 350 million people in this country, was like 325. Folks, that ain't a movement. All right. Those are people out there just trying to make ends meet. They don't got no job. They ain't contributing to society. They're out there with a makeshift pen and pencil and doing some stick figures on a poster board. All right. No, it ain't, nobody likes this. Well, anyways, back to where we were here. Forgive me. ICE is flooding Minnesota, and they're sending in 2,000 agents, which is that's a lot of people. I would do the Trump voice, but I can't. While foreign policy is shifting abroad, enforcement at home is accelerating extremely fast. The Trump administration has sent roughly 2,000 immigration agents into Minnesota as a part of a major federal crackdown. I like this. I like this a lot. Agents from across the country received orders over the weekend to report to Minnesota as soon as possible. This is not routine enforcement. This is a surge, folks, and it's tied directly to what federal prosecutors are now calling one of the largest fraud schemes in American history. Until you guys come to California, you think this is big. You haven't seen nothing. Wait till you come to my home state of California. You want to see fraud, man. Oh, you want to see fraud? Come here. Yeah. You're going to see something. Federal investigators have said that dozens of Somali immigrants living in Minnesota are allegedly connected to a multi-billion-dollar fraud operation exploiting social service programs meant to help vulnerable Americans. And Democrats are still out there protesting against it. The same people that always talk to us, always about like, well, they're not able-bodied, or, oh, this person's they're not privileged. You got to give them this or that. Okay. Well, it's not going to them. The Somalis are taking money from autistic kids, Democrats. Autistic kids and adults. Okay? It's not going to them. You could think it is. But why would you just want to try to push yourself to think it is? Don't you want to know it is? Wouldn't that be nice for an autistic kid to get money to help with his education and medical stuff? Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great if the kids were actually being fed? Like feeding our future? There's a multi-million-dollar, $200 million fraud scheme. Don't you want the kids to be fed? I do. Yeah, it's not the kids' fault they're going hungry. Probably the parents' fault for having kids. Well, probably they shouldn't have. That's a whole nother topic of discussion. But I don't want kids to go hungry. No, sir. So why are you out here protesting? Why? Yeah, you got nothing better to do. That's why. Since 2021, more than 90 people have been charged. That ain't enough. There's a lot more than that. Come on, 90 people? Yeah. Over 60 convictions have already been secured. The schemes involve everything from daycare reimbursements to food assistance programs, with money allegedly being siphoned off to industrial scales. Homeland Security investigation agents are working alongside ICE to identify immigration violations. You got federal crimes happening and potentially national security risk. What's weird? Does anybody read much news about Minnesota going in and doing this? Like Minnesota's opening up investigations left and right? No. Maybe they're hearing it on the local news. I'm not hearing on a national level. A little odd. Thank you, Lulu. Don't forget the like button. Thank you very much. It helps support the show. So there's more stuff going on in Minnesota. We'll see if we can unravel that and uncover that for all of you guys. And Minnesota, by the way, was just the beginning, because as you see here on your screen, following the exposure of widespread fraud, the Trump administration is also expanding the investigation nationwide. It's sad the federal government has to do this. You think the state level would do this, and even the local level. That's how things are supposed to be, right? More power is generally localized, and you would kind of want it more localized, because the guy in Washington, we love Trump. He doesn't know who we are. You guys might tell yourselves, oh, Trump knows me. He knows my family. Yeah, we invited him over for Thanksgiving. He didn't show up. He's busy. Trump doesn't know who we are. Come on. But your mayor might. Your city councilman might. They're supposed to. And I'll be fair. I think we have, and this is going to be a really crazy thing for me to say, I don't think we've expanded government to represent us in the manner of which it's supposed to. What do I mean by that? I'm just going to use the House of Representatives as an idea. Everybody calm down. When you hear a conservative like myself say, wait, bigger government, that makes sense. I'm not saying a bigger federal government. I'm not even saying a bigger state government. About to contradict myself there, but give me a moment. What do we have? Like 420, 435 House of Representatives, something like that, somewhere in that range. It always, this House seats flip flop and, based on, census and stuff like that. But, somewhere about 430. Folks, that's not enough representation. When you have congressmen and women that are representing 100,000, 250,000 people, they don't have a clue what the hell's going on. They don't know what you want. They say they do. Well, they voted for me, so they know exactly what I want. No, they don't. It hasn't actually, the House has not expanded the capacity it truly was originally and supposed to be. You're not really getting the representation that you ought to have, honestly, in the House. The Senate hasn't changed, right? 2 senators per state. That hasn't changed. I'm talking about the House. So really, that House should be expanded to be more representation for you. And furthermore, localized governments are the ones that should have the power, because that's the one that's going to dictate most influentially your life, or should. I mean, that's how it was created. It's a little odd that our federal government, we're always turning to them to do these investigations. That's great that it's there. But where's the locality on this? Where's the state? Do you know what I mean? And hopefully you guys are understanding what I'm saying. And I truly believe you are, which is why I'm not going to break that down any further. But it's just always going to the federal government for everything. Like, no. It's supposed to start. I know I mention this all the time, but it's important to look at the foundation of what was created and what was supposed to continue forward. You start with your family, and then from your family, you go to your neighbor, and then from your neighbor, you go to your neighborhood, and then from your neighborhood, you go to your other community, which usually your church or synagogue. Then you go from there, then you go up to your mayoral level, and then you kind of work up the chain for help. But now it's always reversed. We go to the federal level and work our way down for some reason. That's not the way things were created. I mean, hell, most people don't even talk to their neighbors. And truthfully, I'm one of them. But, that's not true. I know my neighbors, but when I was living elsewhere, I did know my neighbors. And I liked them. Anyways, where the hell were we? I kind of went off on a tangent there. I apologize. You know how we do it here. Come on, give me a break. Come on. All right, here we are. At least 5 blue states. Thank God. I'm so glad I went back to doing show notes. I hadn't done show notes for years, and we just started about a month or two ago. I'm so glad because I lose my train of thought. I'm like Joe Biden and get back in the mix here. At least 5 blue states, including California, are now under federal scrutiny. You have the Department of Health and Human Services has begun suspending certain welfare payments while investigations are underway. Well, good. It kind of sucks for those that are following the law, but don't you really see that time and time again where some knucklehead breaks the law and you're the law-abiding person, but you're the one that gets screwed because that knucklehead wanted to ruin it for everybody else by breaking the law? You probably saw this in like the school system. Always trying to find ways that will connect with all of you. Okay, let's do this one. This one's easy. This one affects literally everybody across state lines. When a guy goes and does some sort of shooting the firearm, and then now they want to chisel away and infringe on our Second Amendment rights because that guy broke the law. Not the millions of people that are law-abiding citizens. They always go, oh, well, there's more guns in circulation than there are people. Okay, well, Joey Bag of Donuts, shout out to Dan Bongino, for going and doing something. Joey Bag of Donuts is a common phrase that Dan Bongino says. I'm stealing it from him. I want to give him credit. When he goes and does something, if there's that many firearms in circulation, then why are you going to infringe on my Second Amendment rights? There's not that much firearms. Criminal behavior is what I'm trying to refer to. I mean, there's a lot of it, but not in the capacity that you need to go after the law-abiding citizens, the guys who are actually doing things right. So that kind of plays in a little bit here, where they're suspending welfare payments for people, and those people actually follow the law, which kind of sucks for them. The message is simple: if taxpayer money is stolen, the money stops immediately, and people are all up in arms over this. The Democrats, they just want it. I don't understand them anymore. I used to. Like, I get Tulsi Gabbard, RFK. Don't get me wrong. I get the real, true Democrats, but because the left has completely infiltrated that party, it's wild. People will call this right now, just so you guys know, on social media, us saying we don't want our money to be stolen and that it should go in the hands of law-abiding citizens, of people that actually need it. You are now considered far right for wanting that. Isn't that crazy? It's like when you say, I just want people to follow the law that are on the books. Yeah, I don't want people to come here illegally and cipher from the system because there's actually Americans that need that. Yeah, I don't want this fraud to happen. It's like you are considered a far right extremist if you think those things. Isn't that bonker? I mean, we live in such a weird timeline. How is that considered far right? You know what I mean? I think it used to be something everybody can get behind. It didn't matter who you were. It's just you're American going, yeah, hey, we don't want that going on. So silly. Texas has announced its own proactive investigation. See, the Texas people get it. The Lone Star State understands. They're going to be investigating child care programs and payments, aiming to determine whether similar fraud is occurring in their state. Yeah, thank you. And guess what? It is. It happens in every state. There's always a hierarchy of which something is happening. Just because we're focusing on Minnesota, and again, I say it all the time, and I know you guys are aware of this now. I'm sure you see it now that I mentioned it. People always get hyper fixated on one variable. And sometimes you need to, because that one variable is the most contributing variable to said outcome that's occurring. But a lot of times, there's a lot of variables that are contributing to something happening. And so in this case, the variable is all the states and the fraud that's happening. Oh, well, you guys are just focused on Minnesota. You know what's happening in red states too. Yeah. No, duh. We're not saying it isn't. Well, then why aren't you mentioning that? Because it's obvious that it's happening in every state. The news is talking about Minnesota. And that's what we talk about, the news. No, duh, it's happening in every state. That's why we're saying, hey, things should be audited. This should be done on a state level. People should go to jail. What the hell are you talking about? Do you know what I mean, you guys? What are these people talking about? Well, the red states do it too. Yeah. No shit. What are you talking about, man? Of course it is. There's just a hierarchy. You guys just do it more than we do. I've said that time and time again. Republicans, red states, everybody does crime. Everybody does fraud. And by everybody, I'm not saying like literally everybody. I know you guys understand that, but there's some lefties that weasel their way in here, and then they're like, well, not everybody. It's not all 350 million Americans. There's a hierarchy. When it comes to fraud, I'm going to say Democrats just tend to do it more. That's my opinion. Where's the proof? You can Google it yourself. Whenever somebody asks you for the proof, by the way, when they're like, oh, what's your source? Just tell them to Google it. That's what I do now. But because you guys, you could literally tell them the source in videos. They'll still ask you for the source. Just Google it yourself. What the hell? You don't have a keyboard? You're a keyboard warrior when it comes to comments, but you can't put something in ChatGPT, Grok, or Google? Really? Can't do that? No, of course not. Isn't that crazy? The times we live in, man. The times we live in. Where are we at here? All right, so Lone Star State's doing that. So why does all this matter? Well, if you zoom out for a moment, a pattern is really emerging here because Trump is using leverage. There's oil, sanctions, forced to reshape these hostile regimes across the world. At home, he's applying the same philosophy to fraud, immigration, and welfare abuse. No speeches, and a little bit here or there. No commissions. There's none of these like endless stupid studies that they're always doing. Just pressure, just enforcement, and hopefully Pam Bondi. Come here, Pam. Consequences. That's what we want to see. And whether it's Venezuela's oil fields or Minnesota's social programs, the message is consistent here. If you exploit the damn system, domestically or internationally, Maduro, the era of tolerance is over. And I'm going to use that last part loosely because I want to see something happen here. I'm tired of people reporting on something and I'm not seeing that walk. We do have breaking news here. Everybody pay attention. We do got some breaking news. I don't have show notes on this one. U.S. military seizes sanctioned oil tanker sailing under Russian flag. I told you it was happening, folks. We covered these ghost ships. Again, this is breaking right now. We don't have much information, but Russia, let's actually go back a little bit to the beginning here. Boots on the ground, Maduro, here we go. So how long ago did this happen? Jeez, well, this is a long report. Okay, 28 minutes ago. American military seizes Venezuelan-linked oil tanker sailing under Russian flag. The United States military boarded a Venezuelan-linked oil tanker sailing under a Russian flag that previously bypassed an American blockade. I wonder if this is one of those ships that left when Maduro was apprehended. If you weren't here in yesterday's morning show, we covered that once we seized and kind of pulled out of Venezuela, it was only like an hour, 2 hour raid, that I think it was like a little over a dozen oil tankers just like, boom, jetted off. And they turned off their transponders and all the stuff they can get away from us. I wonder if this was like one of the dozen. There was more than a dozen. There was like 14 or something like that. But I wonder if this was one of them. The Coast Guard and U.S. military seized a sanctioned oil tanker known as the Mariana. Reuters first reported on Wednesday, the ship previously known as the Bella 1 had been on the run for 2 weeks. Okay, so it wasn't the ship, and was sent to be escorted by a Russian submarine and warships. Whoa, really? The Justice Department and the Department of Homeland Security, in coordination with the Department of War today, announced the seizure of the MV Bella 1 for violations of U.S. sanctions. The vessel was seized in the North Atlantic pursuant to a warrant issued by U.S. federal court after being tracked by USCGC European Command, announced on X. An American official told the New York Times that the Coast Guard was able to successfully board the vessel without hostility or resistance. The seizure took place between Iceland and the British Isles in the North Atlantic Ocean. Russia had planned to escort the tanker. It said Tuesday that it was monitoring with concern the anomalous situation surrounding the Russian oil tanker. Oh, I guess it's not Venezuelan. I guess it's Russian. So where's the protest that the Russians are now taking oil? Where's the protests over there? A little odd, a little weird. And by the way, this just sparked my my imagination a little bit. I wonder, and this is a deep dive I'm going to have to do later if I have time. You know how I said that some of this oil, it was definitely going over to China, and it's going to Russia and Iran. Like that's an obvious thing. It's not even hypothetical or conspiratorial. I wonder if a part of this equation, and I'm sure it is, was Russia struggling with Ukraine, believe it or not. If you would think if they wanted to take Ukraine, they could have done it already. I wonder if a part of this is, in fact, to choke the Russians out as well, to where they'll have to kind of bend the knee on getting this peace deal done over there because they're just not going to have the energy to do it. I mean, it's a theory, but a theory needs to be backed up by proof and evidence. I don't have that right now. It's just kind of popped in my head. It says here at the present, the vessel is navigating international waters of the North Atlantic under the state flag of the Russian Federation and in full compliance with international maritime law. That comes from the Russian Foreign Ministry. Well, because the Russians said it, it must be true. Yeah, they're never known to lie. To be fair, our government lies quite a bit as well. And not only do they lie to foreign governments, but they love to lie to us. At the same time, for for reasons that remain unclear to the United States, the Russian, Jesus, hold on a second. Everybody back up. Hold on. Let me take a swig. At the same time, for reasons that remain unclear to us, the Russian vessel is receiving heightened attention from U.S. and NATO military forces that is clearly disproportionate to its peaceful status. Now, the seizure comes after those barrels of oil that the U.S. took. There you go. Oh, here's the Trump quote that I was talking about earlier. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me. Okay, so he literally did say that. I saw the quote very quickly yesterday. As the president of the United States of America, to ensure that it's used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. Interesting. I didn't continue reading that. I wonder how he's going to do that. I don't even know what that comes out to be, but that's a ton of money, man. Dude, that is a 30 to 50 million barrels of oil sold at market price. What's the market price right now for oil? Hold on a second. That's some moolah, man. Now their oil is pretty harsh. $56. Oh, that's low. Is it? Well, let me show you guys. $56, man. Look at what point in 2022. Look at that. It was 120 close in June 6th of 2022. Look at that. Yeah, look, isn't that crazy? $56. Wow. I mean, look at that dip. Hold on. Look at that trend. Let's keep doing that. Wow. I'm so proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free for getting that cheap oil. And we take that for you and me. Let me proudly stand up and do. All right. That's crazy, yo. I can't believe it. So anyways, well, if that's the market price, there's some wonky stuff going on here. Okay, let's be fair. There's some wonky stuff going on. But that's a lot of money. $56. You guys could do the math. Let's cut it in half. Let's do 40 million times $56. Don't let crude oil fall below 50. Yeah, well, it might. It might. Now, I think a part of that crude, though, we have to remember is there is a deal going on with the Saudis, and I don't think that's going to stick around too long. But another tanker seized by the American in the Caribbean. That was nine. Is this a different one? Oh my gosh. No, this is another breaking. Since we were reading that article, we have seized another oil tanker. Are you kidding me? Okay, back up. More breaking news. Jeez Louise, Trump. Take it. Take it all. I can't do the Trump voice. I'm not going to try. My voice is gone. And forgive me for drinking so much right now, but we're just trying to stay alive. Trump seizes a Venezuelan oil tanker that had been tracking for 2 weeks with a Russian flag. Okay, the Russians in 8 years, buddy. It's ours now. Then 9 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago now, as we're doing that article, well, we seized another one. Another sanctioned oil tanker, the M. Sophia. Oh, Sophia, girl. Oh, you got that oil on you, don't you? Don't worry, we're going to clean you up nicely. Yeah, you're ours now. We're going to take you home. Yeah, Sophia, we're going to take you home, girl. You're ours now. Was seized in the Caribbean on Wednesday. The ship was falsely sailing under the Cameroonian flag. Really? Of all flags, huh? An official told the New York Times. Wow, okay. God, we're creating our own fleet here, aren't we? Russia asked us to end the pursuit of sanctioned oil tanker last week. Well, we took him to voicemail. Yeah, sorry, buddy. Yeah, sorry, Putin. We sent you to voicemail and we just couldn't get to it. Oh, well, we're seeing it now. Well, look, if we would have saw the voicemail at the time, we probably wouldn't have taken the oil tanker, but yeah, we already seized it. What do you want us to do? You want to let us do? No, we already put up our own flag. We can't take ours down and put yours back up. It's too much time. You can eat the cost here, Russia. Moscow filed a diplomatic request. Oh, they sent us an email to the U.S. State Department on New Year's Eve asking the United States to end its pursuit of the sanctioned oil tanker. That was the one linked to Venezuela, though. No Russian vessels near tanker when it was seized. That was 6 minutes ago. Oh, do we have video? Oh, baby. Oh, this is the one of the Sophia. Okay, so there's 2 oil tankers, right? You got the one for Venezuela that the Russians have, and then you got this other one that was flying under a different flag. Don't know where that one was going. In a pre-dawn action, I'll show the video. This morning, the Department of War, such a cool name, in court. Do you think that they changed the name to Department of War because this is going to be a common theme of just going in and seizing shit for like the next 3 years? Sorry to cuss. Like, I'm talking going into Venezuela, but then like Cuba, Donald Trump once was it Greenland? Do you think maybe they changed the name because it's like, I mean, they say why they changed the name, but just because they say something, right? I don't always believe what the Trump administration says. Are you crazy? But interesting. Interesting. They changed the name. It's like, now we're going to Venezuela. Now we're going to take your president. Boop, boop, boop. Just start picking people out. In coordination with the Department of Homeland Security, apprehended a stateless sanctioned dark fleet motor tanker without incident. That's always nice. All right, Sophia, let's see what happened to you, girl. Let's see. Come here, girl. Ooh. I'll be honest. What the hell is this? little steam pipe. You know what I mean? Little steam engine boat going down the Louisiana River. What the hell? I was thinking something more grand. Don't post this crap. Trump makes us look weak. Looks like we're punching down on people. What is this? All right, this looks pretty cool. Never mind. God, you gotta get some better music here, dude. What? I'm muting this music. Yeah, here, let me give you a Meow, 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 meow. By the way, what a potato video. You know it doesn't look like this in real life. This stuff is 4K. I've heard rumors that they're moving into 8K. The stuff that we get is never the quality. Why do they treat us like we're stupid? We know it's a lot more clear. But look, let's see what people are saying here. Let's have a little bit of fun. Knock, knock, who's there? American. Oh, geez. Yeah. I had a student yesterday ask me, because I teach finance, and we're going over taxes right now. And I said, part of taxes is supposed to paying off our debt. We're going to have to pay off that debt at some point or another. And so the issue is that usually taxes, you get some sort of service out of it, whether it's going to you or somebody else. And the problem is when you have a interest on your debt that exceeds more than your defense budget, you're not actually getting a service. That's just going to paying off interest. That's a massive problem. And then somebody raised their hand and says, well, couldn't we just, they're seniors. Couldn't we just sell the Venezuelan oil since allegedly it's $17 trillion? And I kind of chuckled and I said, you got to be careful. I'm not there to give my opinion. I said, in theory, yeah, you could do something like that. But then you get into something a little bit more crazy. I said, but what I think is important to realize is that there is still shrewd force out there in the world. And that's something that I think we forgot about, not only as a society, but also in the Western hemisphere. There is real force. And I told I said, if you want to look that up, look up the force doctrine, that it just goes to show you that there's real power out there. And I think the world just realized that they don't want to mess with the United States of America because we just conquered your country in an entire hour. And I think it's important to bring awareness to that because nobody talks to them like that. Nobody explains to them that you have the greatest military might that's ever existed on this rock. And I mean that in all literal sense. There's nothing that's ever been more powerful than us here on this planet. We literally conquered a country in an hour. An hour. And by the way, we could have done it. Here's the crazy thing. That was with 150 aircraft. Do you realize that if we would have surrounded that 15 minutes tops, and I mean, I'm talking 15 minutes, really, probably could have done that. We take over your entire country in 15 minutes. Insane. All right, let's get to one more thing here really quick, and then we're going to end. Now my voice is finally coming back a little bit. Let's talk about this just really quickly. I just want to make it aware because it's really messed up. 1 year after the Palisades fire here, when, California was burning down, or at least I should say Los Angeles, that was a year ago. Rebuilding stalls in limbo. The Palisades fire erupted on January 7th, 2025, destroying almost 7,000 structures across 24,000 acres in Los Angeles. I mean, it was devastating. It was crazy. And I think you all remember it. With total losses between $25 billion to $40 billion. While the Trump administration sped up initial cleanup, EPA cleared 13,000 properties in 28 days. Shout out to them. That's actually a lot. And the SBA approved $3.2 billion in loans. Rebuilding crawls forward. Only 2,600 permits have been approved out of the 6,200 roughly. So about 2,600 out of the 6,200. And fewer than a dozen homes fully built. 11 homes have been rebuilt in a year. Governor Newsom blasts federal delays in aid. It's always him blasting why aren't you doing it, dude? Why are you blaming the feds? Oh, but look, is this amazing? This is so amazing to me. Gavin Newsom's going to blast the federal government for delays on aid when all these Democrats in my state boast, well, we have the fourth largest economy in the world. Yeah, if we were our own country, we would be the fourth largest country in the world in GDP. Then pay for your own shit. Yeah, we subsidize all you guys. We subsidize the red states. Good, then pay for your own stuff. Why are you relying on the federal government if you're so high and mighty? Pay for your own damn stuff. Why are you asking Donald Trump for help? I live in California, by the way. I've said this to you guys. I don't want your money. No. We need to figure it out ourselves. Bunch of liars, Gavin. You're such trash. Such trash.
And realize it. I'll help you with it. I think Harold's on to something. He doesn't even realize it. I'll help you with it.
My colonizer.
Trump should federalize the Palisades. He should declare a disaster zone and say, Gavin, if you can't do it, I will. I'm a builder. You bring in the Army Corps of Engineers, you bring in the National Guard, you bring in some of your construction crews, and you just bulldoze all the BS out of there and just start building homes. I don't care. Let Gavin Newsom fight you as you're building homes back. You know, I'd have
I agree with you.
Pam at the DOJ go rattle some heads in the insurance industry. What are you guys doing over there? Knock some heads together. Do something, because this guy's not doing anything right now.
I like the optics of it. I like that fight of, wow, you're going to have now Gavin Newsom's going to be fighting you while you're building homes for Americans. I don't like the idea of the federal government coming in and building homes, though. I don't like that. But I like the idea and the optics of it. That sounds fun. But I'm not a big fan of the government coming in and the federal government coming in and seizing up stuff and doing it. I like the optics of it, but I always try to put the shoe on the other foot. If Biden did that, I'm in a red state, a red area. Yeah, you know, let's use Greg Abbott, for example. I don't think Greg would do this, but let's say Greg was pulling the stunt here. I wouldn't like Biden going in and doing that to him. Like, should he be doing that? Absolutely. But that's just, you know, my thing, and we're in disagreement. But I'm sure the people in the Palisades would like that, but you know, a lot of them are Democrats too, so maybe they wouldn't. How could you build my house? Right? And they're out there protesting. Hey, he's building my house when the state should be doing it or something. I don't know. Anyways, alrighty, we got to do a quick out here, folks. Appreciate you hanging out with me. God bless all of you. Always enjoy the regulars in the show. We have some new people here, so thank you to the new people. You guys left me comments yesterday saying, hey, I'm new here. This is where I'm from. Love that. I read every comment, by the way, both on Rumble and YouTube. I have an app on my phone that I read through all of them. So thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to have some hot tea, go to work, and just appreciate all of you guys. I hope you pray for this country, pray for Donald Trump, and you know, pray for those that are in the chat. We all need it. With that being said, God bless all of you. Take care. See you tomorrow morning.